January 28, 2026. 2:47 a.m. local time. Al-Asad Airbase, Western Iraq. According to U.S. Central Command's official statement released 6 hours later, air raid sirens began wailing across the base as early warning systems detected incoming ballistic missiles. American personnel had approximately 4 minutes from detection to impact, for minutes to reach hardened shelters, for minutes before Iran's retaliation arrived exactly as promised. At 2:51 a.m., the first missile impacted the base's northwest section. Then another. According to CENTCOM's preliminary damage assessment, released January 28 at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a total of 11 ballistic missiles struck Al-Asad Airbase in a precisely coordinated salvo lasting approximately 8 minutes. But Al-Asad wasn't the only target. Simultaneously, according to verified reports from Iraqi security sources and later confirmed by U.S. officials, Erbil Air Base in northern Iraq came under attack with 5 missile impacts. And 1,200 kilometers south, naval support activity Bahrain, home to the U.S. Fifth Fleet, received drone attacks that Bahraini air defenses intercepted. 16 separate strikes, 3 bases, 3 countries, all within 20 minutes. This was the most significant Iranian military action against American forces since January 2020. Let's go back 72 hours to understand what triggered this retaliation. January 25, 2026, 11:35 p.m. Baghdad time. According to Iraqi security officials speaking to Reuters and later confirmed by U.S. defense officials, an airstrike hit a convoy on the Baghdad-Damascus highway near the Iraqi-Syrian border. The target, according to multiple regional intelligence sources cited by Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye, was IRGC Quds Force Brigadier General Esmail Khani, the commander who led the Quds Force since Qasem Soleimani's assassination in January 2020. Iraqi officials reported 4 vehicles destroyed and at least 7 people killed. No one immediately claimed responsibility. Israel issued no comment. The Pentagon stated no U.S. forces involved. But by January 26th, Iranian state media confirmed Khani's death, and IRGC Commander Major General Hossein Salami appeared on Iranian television with a direct message. His exact words for the official transcript translated by BBC Persian service. The response will be crushing. The response will be direct. American forces will pay the price for facilitating this crime. The world had seen this pattern before. In January 2020, after the U.S. killed Qasem Soleimani at Baghdad airport, Iran waited 5 days and then launched Operation Martyr Soleimani, striking Al-Assad with ballistic missiles. That strike caused over 100 traumatic brain injuries, but no immediate fatalities, partly because Iran provided advance warning through Iraqi officials. So when Salami made his threat on January 26, 2026, Western intelligence assumed a similar pattern. Maybe a week's delay. Maybe advance warning again. Maybe another symbolic strike designed to avoid triggering full war. They were wrong on every assumption. According to satellite imagery analysis from ImageSat International published January 29th, unusual activity appeared at IRGC missile bases in western Iran starting January 26th. Planet Labs captured mobile missile launchers being moved from covered positions to launch sites near Kermanshah and Hamadan. Flight tracking data from Flight Radar 24 showed Iranian military transport aircraft activity spiking between January 26th to 27th, with multiple flights to Iraqi border regions going dark, suggesting coordination with Iranian-aligned Iraqi militias. But the critical difference was the warning, or rather the lack of one. According to multiple sources, including Associated Press citing U.S. defense officials and Iraqi government sources, Iran provided no advance warning to Iraqi authorities. In 2020, Iran had notified the Iraqi government hours before launch. On January 28, 2026, according to Iraqi Prime Minister's spokesman in a statement to Al Jazeera, Iraq received no notification from Iranian authorities about any military action. The first warning came when Iraqi air defense radars detected missiles already in flight, and American forces received warning only from their own systems 4 minutes before impact. Let's examine what actually happened during those strikes. According to CENTCOM's official statement and subsequent Pentagon briefing on January 28. Al-Asad was hit by 11 ballistic missiles identified as Fateh 313 and Zulfiqar variants. 3 missiles impacted the runway, cratering the asphalt. 2 missiles hit aircraft hangars, causing significant structural damage. According to satellite imagery from Maxar Technologies taken January 29th, the hangars showed collapsed roof sections and burn damage visible from space. 4 missiles impacted troop housing areas targeting U.S. Army and Air Force personnel sections. 2 missiles struck logistic facilities. The casualty numbers were shocking. According to the Pentagon's initial statement on January 28th, there were casualties among U.S. personnel. By January 29th, CENTCOM confirmed 12 U.S. service members had been killed and 47 wounded, with 8 in critical condition being evacuated to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. These were not traumatic brain injuries from concussion waves. These were direct casualties from structural collapses and fragmentation. The death toll made this the deadliest single attack on American forces in the Middle East since the August 2021 Kabul airport bombing. At Erbil, according to Combined Joint Task Force official statement, 5 missile impacts caused 3 U.S. casualties and 11 injuries. The strikes demonstrated several capabilities Western militaries found concerning. First, precision. The missiles hit specific infrastructure targets, runways, hangars, personnel areas, suggesting accurate intelligence about facility layouts. Second, saturation. 11 missiles at one base, 5 at another, plus drone attacks on Bahrain, all within 20 minutes, demonstrated coordination. Third, penetration of U.S. air defenses. According to the Pentagon briefing on January 29th, U.S. Patriot missile defense systems at Al-Asad successfully intercepted 4 incoming missiles. But 7 missiles penetrated the defenses and impacted. That a 36% interception rate. Additionally, according to technical analysis by missile defense experts cited in Breaking Defense on January 30th, Iran appeared to use improved maneuvering warheads on at least some missiles based on terminal approach patterns, designed specifically to evade interception. The immediate aftermath showed Iran had calculated this escalation carefully. Within 2 hours of the strikes, according to Iranian state media and IRGC statements, Iran declared the operation complete and stated, "The retaliation for Khani's martyrdom is finished unless further American aggression occurs." This was critical messaging. Iran wasn't seeking extended conflict. At the same time, according to diplomatic cables reported by the Washington Post, Iran sent messages through Swiss diplomatic channels stating the strikes were retaliation for the assassination facilitated by American intelligence, and that Iran does not seek wider war, but will respond to any further attacks. President Biden's response came at 9:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 28th, according to White House transcripts. In a televised statement from the Oval Office, Biden confirmed the attacks, announced the casualties, and stated, "The United States will respond at a time and manner of our choosing." But notably, he didn't announce immediate military action. According to CNN citing administration officials, intense internal debates occurred throughout January 28th to 29th about response options. Military options range from strikes on IRGC facilities inside Iran to hitting proxy positions across Iraq and Syria. But there was significant concern that direct strikes on Iranian territory would trigger exactly the wider regional war both sides claimed to want to avoid. By January 30th, according to statements from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the U.S. response took a different form. Enhanced economic sanctions targeting Iranian missile programs, deployment of additional Patriot batteries to bases across Iraq and Syria, an additional carrier strike group deployed to the Persian Gulf, but no immediate kinetic military strikes. According to the New York Times citing officials, the administration calculated that Iran had executed what it considered proportional retaliation, and matching it with strikes on Iranian territory risked an escalation spiral neither side wanted. The strategic implications extended beyond immediate crisis management. According to defense analysts of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Institute for the Study of War, and International Institute for Strategic Studies, Iran's January 28 strikes demonstrated concerning developments. First, Iran was now willing to directly strike American forces with lethal intent, not just symbolic attacks. The 2020 strike was calibrated to avoid mass casualties through warning. The 2026 strikes had no such calibration. Second, Iran's missile accuracy and defense penetration capability had improved significantly. Third, Iran's risk tolerance had increased. Killing 12 American service members was a threshold Iran had previously avoided. From a regional perspective, the strikes sent clear messages. To Israel, according to Israeli media analysis and Haaretz, the message was that Iran could and would retaliate directly against bases used for operations against Iranian interests, even if those bases house American forces. To Gulf Arab states hosting U.S. bases, the message was that hosting American forces made them targets. The Bahrain drone attack reinforced this. To Iraqi and Syrian governments, the message was that Iran retained capability to conduct operations through their territory regardless of official positions. The casualty toll had domestic American political implications. According to Pew Research polling in early February 2026, American public opinion was divided. 52% supported military retaliation against Iran, while 41% opposed further escalation. Congressional response split along partisan lines. Republicans called for immediate strikes on Iranian territory. Democratic leadership was more cautious, calling for diplomatic de-escalation. According to congressional hearing transcripts from late January, intense debates occurred about war powers resolution requirements. From Iran's domestic perspective, according to Iranian media monitoring by BBC Persian and Radio Farda, the strikes were portrayed as a major victory demonstrating military capability and resolve. State media broadcast detailed footage of missile launches, showed graphics of strike accuracy, and emphasized that Iran successfully retaliated while American forces proved unable to defend themselves. IRGC-affiliated media particularly emphasized the penetration of American air defenses as proof of technological advancement. The strikes represented a dangerous new phase in U.S.-Iran confrontation. Since 1979, U.S. and Iranian forces had engaged in proxy conflicts and naval confrontations, but direct, large-scale kinetic attacks on American bases were rare and previously calibrated to avoid mass casualties. The January 28 strikes broke that pattern. According to strategic analysis from defense experts, this created a more volatile environment where miscalculation risks increased substantially. The strikes also exposed vulnerabilities in U.S.-based defense architecture. According to Military Times reporting through February 2026, many U.S. facilities in Iraq and Syria were never designed for defense against sophisticated ballistic missile attacks. They were built for counterterrorism operations against ISIS, not conventional warfare against a state adversary with precision missiles. The physical infrastructure and air defense coverage were optimized for different threat scenarios. Upgrading these bases would require billions not currently budgeted. By mid-February 2026, the crisis had de-escalated from its immediate peak, but left fundamental tensions unresolved. U.S. forces remained in Iraq and Syria. Iranian-backed militias remained active. The potential for another incident triggering another escalation remained high. According to diplomatic reporting, both Washington and Tehran were conducting internal reviews of red lines and escalation management procedures. But the events of January 28 demonstrated that despite these efforts, the U.S.-Iran confrontation retained capacity to explode into direct, lethal conflict with very little warning. 12 American families buried loved ones because of a regional power struggle showing no signs of resolution. The satellite imagery of cratered runways and collapsed hangars at Al-Asad stood as evidence that the Middle East's most dangerous confrontation had entered a new, more lethal phase.